Internet, do not fail us, right? That's what we're hoping for at this point.
And we're live. We're live.
Yeah, I say that every single time. That's kind of been like a stupid running joke. I don't even really mean to, and I always kind of start us off with that way. But anyway, all right, here we go. Super excited. Super excited. Chris and I are back on the podcast schedule. I took a little break. I was down in South Carolina. Happy to be back. Happy to get back to work. We've got Big Ten Media Days coming up this week. But before that, we are now joined by freshman quarterback JJ McCarthy, who is doing his first media presence since he's been at Michigan. And he's our first guest since this whole shift in being able to have players come on and do some different things. So we're super pumped about it. JJ, I've talked to you a lot of times before, but it was when you were in high school still. You were a recruit, you were coming up, you were committed, you were on the trail still, but now you're at Michigan. You're joining us. Appreciate it, my guy, man. This is good stuff.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much. It's always awesome talking to you, Brandon.
So we've got a bunch of questions for JJ and people. As you jump in and are watching this live stream, if you have questions, make sure to comment on them and we'll pull them up either at the end or as we're going. Like if it's appropriate to what we're talking about, we'll bring them up right then. But if not, we'll try to get to as many of them as we can. JJ's got a little bit of a time crunch, but we got him for about 30 minutes. So excited to get going. So Chris, man, take the floor, dude.
Yeah, so JJ, we obviously communicated a little bit before we hopped on here. We talked about some of the questions that I might ask, and then you throw me a curveball late last night at 10:30, and you released this statement, and it was a fairly big statement, regarding NIL and kind of what your focus is going to be while you're at Michigan, and it's a statement that has gone over considerably well within the fan base. By the way, it's obviously something that you put a lot of thought into. I'm curious. Why was it important for you to release that statement last night?
It's always been something that statement's always been something that's been on my mind even before the NIL opportunities came. And it was just getting out there that all these companies, all these fans that are going to be willing to contribute and compensate these players, I just want to let them know that when they compensate me, it's going to a good cause. And I'm not just doing it for the money. Like, I'm not doing it to see the commas go up in my bank account and all that stuff. I'm doing it because I love to play football and I have such an awesome opportunity to help others.
Yeah, I mean it's a big deal. I mean, when all this stuff came through on July 1st, was it a whirl? It seemed like a whirlwind to Chris and I. We were like, dude, this stuff is everywhere on social media. Like, it's all over Instagram, it's all over Twitter, it's everywhere. Was it like that for you guys, or not really? I mean, what did it feel like from a player standpoint?
Say that question one more time. Sorry, it broke up.
The NIL stuff. I was saying to Chris and I, it seemed like it was a whirlwind. It was all over Instagram. It was all over Twitter. It was like everywhere. Like for that first couple of days, it just seemed like it was kind of taking everything by storm. Did it feel like that from a player standpoint, or not as much?
Yeah, I mean, from my standpoint, it was always just like, oh, that's awesome. That's a great opportunity. This is like history in the making. What an opportunity we have. And like, honestly, there was so much excitement throughout the team and all of that. But for me, it was just, and for a lot of others on our team, it was just keeping that level head and realizing like what we're here to do. We're not here to make money. We're here to win football games. So it opens up many doorways of opportunities, but it will never like affect the end goal that we have.
There you go. You mentioned winning football games, something you did a lot of in high school. Obviously, a lot of success up at Nazareth before you headed down to IMG. But I want to talk about IMG, your last stop before you got to Michigan. It's like college light, man. I mean, I've been to the campus before. I've watched a bunch of players that have come through there. Outstanding opportunity, I'm sure, for anybody who gets a chance to go there. What was that like, and how ready did that get you for coming to Michigan as an early enrollee who was just supposed to finish high school like a month ago?
Yeah, it has done so much for my development and for my preparation going into college. Not even like, of course, on the football side, IMG Academy, with what they do with their athletes is just unbelievable. But the living on your own, being away from your parents, being with new people, having to build relationships from scratch, it was just perfect in every way for me, that it was going to help me prepare for college and not take those of course there's rookie steps. I've made a lot of mistakes and done a lot of stuff that I learned from so far, but it helped me prepare to not have too many of those and be able to come in with a clear mindset and not feel overwhelmed with the constant rigorous schedule that we have. And it helped out so much with the off the field stuff for sure.
Yeah, so IMG obviously provides, a great springboard to a place like the University of Michigan or any other big time college football program. I'm curious, now that you're here, you've been on campus for, a little while now.
Little shout out from Andrell right there, but I don't know if that's actually him or not, but if that is, that's hilarious.
I'm curious, if you could sum up your experience at the University of Michigan in one word so far, what would it be?
Gratifying.
Okay.
100% gratifying, because I've just had so much fun being here. Everything that I was looking forward to has been fulfilled and more. And yeah, I'd have to say gratifying for sure.
You were committed.
Sorry, Brandon. Usually when you come in, as a young guy, you've got guys that sort of take you under their wing and kind of teach you the ropes. Who has been that guy for you at the University of Michigan that, which upperclassman, I guess, has had the biggest impact on your early career so far?
A lot of those guys have. There's not, of course, like one of the big ones that just jump out to me is Aiden Hutchinson and everything he's done, and just observing these guys, like just sitting back while I'm resting from our hill runs and just like seeing their demeanor and how they handle themselves in certain situations. So it's just, honestly, I've been a sponge with all these upperclassmen and just seeing how they conduct themselves and seeing how they pretty much go throughout their day-to-day life, and they've been doing it. So why not learn from them? But definitely all the upperclassmen have just been an awesome help.
You mentioned the word gratifying. You were committed for a long time, bunch of visits to Michigan, game day experiences, getting to know the coaches, getting to know the players. Now that you're in it and you still can say it's been gratifying, that it's exceeded expectations, like what were your thoughts coming in versus like the reality of actually being there for the last 6 or 7 months? Like you said, it was better. Like, how was it better? How did that happen that it's just been a better experience than maybe you even expected?
I mean, the coaching, the relationships I've made with the trainers, the strength staff, the equipment managers, it's just like a really awesome culture that you never really get to experience on recruiting trips, because you always go in there thinking, okay, these people they're car salesmen right now. That's their job. They're trying to get me to come to the school and they're going to tell me everything that I want to hear. But actually being in the culture, that's like what really just added that next level of gratification for being where I am, and a very comforting feeling knowing that I'm going to be here for the next 4 years and not be unhappy.
Yeah. I mean, so with that being said, I'm curious, obviously, from a fan standpoint, the one of the big stories during the offseason is obviously what's going on with the quarterback situation. And I'm curious, from your standpoint, during the time that you've been here, what are your early impressions of the quarterback room? I mean, you've got Cade McNamara, who's coming back. He's got a little bit of experience. You've got Dan Villari, who was there last year. You've got Alan Bowman coming in, who I think might already be on campus at this point. I'm not sure how much you've had the opportunity to speak with him, but what are the early impressions of the quarterback room?
A lot of great guys and a lot of fun. I mean, the healthy competition that's been going on like every single day. We push each other all the time, like in everything. It would whether be the film room, weight room, out on the field. We always push each other, but it's always that healthy competition. Like we're not trying to get ahead and put them down, put anyone down. It's all about like working together and really fine-tuning our skills, and whoever's the best quarterback is going to play. That's who we want. That's who we want, because that's going to win us games. And at the end of the day, like it's all about the team in that matter. And the quarterback room has been run by Coach Weis, who's been awesome, and as well as Coach Harbaugh. Coach Harbaugh has huge contributions in that room, which is another thing that I didn't think coming in was going to be a reality. But him being in the room and being able to pick his brain on everything, it's just been like amazing amazing.
Well, that's interesting because and Brandon and I talked about this a little bit before Weis was hired is, I think that the news that had come out was Jim Harbaugh was going to be, more hands-on with the quarterbacks. And then we saw that Matt Weis had been hired, as quarterbacks coach. And we sort of wondered how that would work. So you're saying that, even with Weis in the picture, that Harbaugh's still very much a part of what's going on in that room.
Yes, you can't stop him. That man just lives and does football. This guy is awesome. He's in there all the time. He's going through every single footwork stuff with us, every single film session. He's really been the man in there, and it's been really awesome.
Like we can't talk to a Michigan football player without talking about Ohio State. Like I think it's against the rules or something, right? So, JJ, you put the first question we asked you. You put out this heartfelt, like, man, what a mature kid. What an awesome message last night about NIL and how you want to contribute to some things and do this. And then a guy like Dave Portnoy grabs that message and just scribbles "Beat Ohio" on it. And it's like, all right, like that, I get it. I know where Michigan fans are coming from. That's all they want. They want it so badly. I don't know if that was the time or the place, but whatever. It is what it is. And me and Chris have certainly put out a bunch of stuff, and you said it before we started live here. You can't like even mention anything without somebody like yelling that at you. So I guess in a nutshell, how big of a deal is the Ohio State game? And so there's a question in the comments here. How much do you hate Ohio State? And just in general, I mean, like that message kind of went around earlier this spring. The addition to the message board up in the weight room, I think, like, what are you doing to beat Ohio State today, or something along those lines. Just in a nutshell, man, talk about that rivalry and what it means to the players inside that building. I
mean, you see how passionate the fans are about it. So just ramp that up by 10, and then you got how passionate we are about it. It's been really, really awesome to see it firsthand and see it's not so much of a hatred against them. It's a just burning desire to finally get over the hump and just really do what we do, because that's the only team that's been in our way. That's the only team that's been in the great teams of the past. Like that's the one game that is always in the back of our heads, and we're always taking it week by week. Like the only thing we're really focused on right now is Western Michigan, but it's one of those teams that just sits in the back of our head just because of the history of it. So yeah, just ramp it up a little bit, and yeah, you got our passion about it for sure.
And case in point, as soon as we start talking about this, the comments are flooded with words that I'm not going to say right now on the live stream. So you kind of get an idea where that is, but it's all the time. I want to ask you a question, because I don't know if this is the case. We hear it from the fan base. We hear that Ohio State takes it more seriously. I just wonder, I'm sure you've heard that before. I just wonder, how the
players themselves have said it, right?
How you would argue that, or what you would say, to someone who says that the Michigan players just don't focus on it as much.
Well, I would. It's like, who is that coming from? Because it's people who are not in it every day. It's not people who are in this building putting in the work that we're putting ourselves through. And people could have their own opinions about it, but at the end of the day, none of that's going to matter when the whistle blows. Like when we're in between those lines, that's really when it's going to come down to it. How bad did we really want it all off season, all season? And when I hear stuff like that, and when the team hears stuff like that, it just goes in one ear and out the other, because no matter what fan it is, nobody's trying to beat them as bad as we are as a team. Nobody's trying to we're trying to beat every single team as bad as we want to beat them. So it's definitely amped up a lot with them, but it's every week. It's every week we have that same mindset.
Yeah, I mean, like we were talking about before we hopped on, I'm sure you get a number of questions about Ohio State, or you at least see Ohio State, something to the effect, or something about Ohio State pop up on a daily basis. The next question I want to ask you kind of goes back to, what we talked about right when we first started here, which was the statement you came out with last night. And, I noticed, I followed your recruitment pretty closely, and I've noticed that you have mentioned winning championships, on multiple occasions, and you did it again last night in the statement that you put out. You don't seem scared or intimidated by talking about big goals, like things like championships, which I love, by the way. I think that's great. But with that being said, this season will mark 10 years since the last win over Ohio State, 17 years since the last conference title, and 24 years since the last national championship. And so here's the question. What is it about this program and this particular group of guys that gives you the confidence that you all can get this thing back on track and bring, a conference title or even a national title back to Ann Arbor?
What an opportunity, right? I mean, we see the opportunity in front of us, and we see the years that have gone past where our last what'd you say the last Big Ten championship was?
You're 17
somewhere
years
around,
ago.
Yeah,
17
somewhere
years
around
ago.
early 2000s. And
2003 was the last outright. 2004 was shared. I believe.
Yeah. We see those banners up in the field house every single day, every single sprint we run, every single play we run. And it's just a motivating factor every single day because it's been so long. And it has nothing against the guys that have come before because they're the ones who built this program up to where it is now. But it's just like I said, the burning desire that fuels all of us and is inside of all of us is just like gets up more and more. The more times we just see it, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. I mean, you go on social media, you hear the same stuff all the time. So it's definitely something that almost adds extra fuel to the fire for us.
Yeah, and you're a guy that's, you're plugged in. I'm sure you have, an idea of how important and big your recruitment was, and how, I guess, how much the fans are excited to have you here in Ann Arbor. Do you personally feel like an obligation, like personally, individually, to be the guy that changes the narrative here?
I mean, not at all. I don't feel like anyone's personally obligated to do anything, but I really do feel like I am personally obligated to help in any way I can to get that team to the top, no matter if it's I'm helping Cade, helping Dan, helping Alan, and doing it myself. That no other way is going to take me away from doing whatever I can to make sure we get back to where we need to be.
JJ, I wanted to ask you, because we were talking about it before we went live, and I thought it was interesting. I said, okay, fall camp is coming up here in a couple of weeks. I'm sure it's going to get crazy busy. And you kind of laughed and said, dude, it's always crazy busy. So I just wanted you to recap that again for the people out there who might not know what it's like. It's I'm doing air quotes. It's the off season, but there's no such thing. I just thought that was funny hearing it from your standpoint of how it's like, no, it's all the time. It's all the time.
Yeah, when I first got here in the spring, I was like, wow, this is really what it's like to have two full-time jobs. I mean, going to school here and playing here, it's been something I've really never experienced before. But I've had the most fun in the world doing it. I mean, I just try to live in the present moment with it and take each experience day by day. And it's just like, it feels like it already flew by. Like that's something that Coach Harbaugh said. The days are long, but the years are short. And I'm experiencing that firsthand with how crazy this schedule is. But it's the schedule that I wanted. I mean, if I could have been doing this 5 years ago, I would be doing it. It's just been awesome.
You mentioned the long days. I think you said it was today, wasn't it? Like 6 a.m. something. Like
it was a long morning. Yeah,
I was gonna say. I asked you okay, give me a rundown. It's off season. What's a day to day like? And you kind of said, well, it started at 6 a.m. today. And what is that day to day grind like?
I'll just give you today. This morning we got up, all drove over to Veterans Park, and at 6 a.m. ran those hills, and then after that, we had a bench press competition in the parking lot, which was awesome. Loved it. And then we went back to the facility and had a player-led practice. And then after that, it was like photo shoot stuff, stuff for the Jumbotron, stuff like that. And then it was film afterwards, just like I did it on my own and all that stuff. But it's just that was when I finished my day and went home, it was 1 o'clock. And I was out since 6 a.m. and it's just that was stuff that was always something I had to do on my own, but it's expected here, which I love. It's expected to work that hard. It's expected to live up to that standard that is going to bring us championships and is going to bring us back to the top.
I'll throw this up there real quick because I know you mentioned it earlier, and a person commented and asked. Talk about the bench press results there.
Yeah. So we went in teams, and I had some pretty, like, we did the average of each team's reps. So everyone went, and it was about a team of 12 to 14. And let me tell you, I have never seen somebody hit 30 reps of 225 as fast as Blake Corum. He's on my team.
I'm telling you, dude, that guy seems like
he's never
a dog.
missed a workout. Yeah, he's never missed a workout. That's for sure.
That kid is a workhorse.
I mean, is he as impressive, as his team? Like, the dude just looks like, from the outside looking in, the guy just looks like, I don't know if there's anybody in America that works harder than he is. He's always in the gym. He's an early riser. The dude's like, do you guys get that sense from him?
I mean, of course you get that sense from him with everything that he does, working like after workouts all the time. But what guys like that do is inspire guys like me to try and like work harder than him, and if not, catch up to his level. And it's been really, really awesome to see the effect like spreading throughout the team. And when you see guys work that hard, it just makes you want to work harder, because you're going through that shared suffering together, and that's just building the bonds more and more. And yeah, it's like seeing a guy like that work as hard as he does, it really just makes you sit back and say, like, man, am I really doing as much as I possibly can do right now? So yeah.
That's a hell of a compliment. And I think we got Corum's dad is here. I don't know if you saw that comment, but his dad is here. He had something to say to JJ.
I'm scrolling through. There's a lot of comments. Here we go. A little shout out for Mr. Corum right there, speaking highly of you and highly of Blake as well. So that's awesome. Man. That's good. That's good stuff.
So what do you think, Brandon? We're at the 22-minute mark. Do you want to go to the OT questions, get fan questions last? Do you want to get fan questions now?
I think we do fan questions now. There's a couple of good ones in here, and we'll throw them out there. And JJ, again, this is your discretion. I mean, if it's a little too much, you don't want to give anything away that the world shouldn't know, then totally cool with us. But some fans are asking some pretty good stuff, so I think we'll throw it out there. So I would assume this is going back to the spring, but surprising guys on offense. I mean, maybe it's yourself, maybe it's somebody else. I mean, who's kind of done some things that popped out?
To be honest with you, the whole offense as a whole. Like, it really showed me what it's like to be at a Division I Power 5 football program with an offense that's run everywhere. And Coach Gaddis, like, his schemes have just been next level. And I mean, the receivers took me a long time to get adjusted how fast those guys are. I mean, those guys could fly. And the running backs, the O-line, I mean, it's just been – everybody has just surprised me. Everybody has blown me away with my expectations going in.
So that's a good segue into this question then. Is there anybody out of that receiver group that maybe you did link up with faster than others? Not to say that they were that they were slower than the other guys, but just somebody that you seem to have a pretty natural connection with, maybe.
Oh, I mean, I've been rolling with the twos a lot and working with Andrell, working with Christian Dixon, Roman Wilson, AJ Henning, Dalen Baldwin, who just came in. We had a really good day this morning. All the guys have just been really, really awesome, because they're in the right spots at the right time. They're always making the catches that I need them to make, and they're making me look good, honestly. Like, those guys are just ballers, all of them.
That's interesting you bring up Dalen Baldwin. I not forgot about him, but since he just got there and he's a transfer, haven't seen much of him. I actually saw him when he was like a sophomore in high school. He was just like this skinny kid. He wasn't getting hardly any recruitment. He goes to a small school, and now he's at Michigan. What can you tell us about him? Like, this is a kid I haven't seen in 5 or 6 years or whatever it's been, and it's really cool that it's come full circle as a local kid, and now he's a Wolverine.
Yeah, he works. He's yearning to learn. And this guy, he's really surprised me so far. He's a great kid, great personality. everything about him I'm just loving so far. It's like one of those things where it's like, man, is this too good to be true? Like he's working his butt off. He's making all the catches, really smooth route runner, great out of his cuts. I mean, he's been awesome so far. So
And
I'm
big
excited.
too. I mean, he's a big guy at this
Yeah,
point.
he's got some stature for sure.
That's the thing that I think changed the most when I saw his like transfer picture. I was like, that is not what he looked like when I remember seeing him in high school. I also wanted to touch on this from earlier because he's new to us. You know, we haven't seen or learned a lot about him. But Coach Weis, I mean, from the little bit I have picked up from either recruits or you mentioned him earlier. I've heard the word genius like thrown out there about him on a couple occasions. And we know he's got like this analytics background, but he hasn't done a lot like specifically with quarterbacks in his past. I just wonder, how good do you think he's been? And I know you don't have a huge frame of reference when it comes to college quarterbacks coaches, but what have you seen out of him and what's been that experience?
I mean, genius might be an understatement. Like this guy is one of the most intelligent people I've ever been around. And what I love the most about him is who he is as a person, what his values are, how he is every single day in the building. He's so consistent with who he is and how he goes about his business. And he's just always been an awesome help for me. But probably the best thing I've learned from him is just sitting in the film room with him and just letting him talk of how he looks at the game, because he's been at almost every position and his knowledge is just untouched. It's really awesome to just pick his brain and see how he perceives things on the football field.
I want to throw this question up there because I almost got like a feeling just reading the question, and I know Chris is going to feel it, as we finally make our way back to the stadium this year. What's your reaction going to be when you see that stadium full again for the first time?
Exactly that.
Yeah, man.
Like I always visualize when I'm doing my meditations, running down the tunnel and like hitting that banner, and I just cannot. I'm so glad that those stands are going to be packed, because a lot of the guys were saying it was just depressing without the best fans in the country there. I mean, it's really going to be one of those surreal feelings that like every single time you run out that tunnel, it's going to be a time you're going to remember forever.
I wonder for a freshman who came in early, like I said, you finished high school early and got to Ann Arbor back in December or January. Has there been a lot of those little moments? I mean, I'm sure that's going to be one of the bigger ones. How could it not be with that many people? But, like the first time pulling on the winged helmet, or the first time you see your name up on your locker, or your first time you're in the huddle with all the, like, what's that been like? All those little landmark moments, becoming a college quarterback at a place like Michigan.
To be honest with you, it's been kind of not the complete opposite, but it's felt so much just like playing ball and doing what I've been doing since first grade. I mean, it's stepped up in so many different levels, but it's just playing ball at the end of the day. I mean, it's a little kid's game, but it just keeps going. Each chapter, whether it be high school, college, the NFL, you just keep like, wow, you having those moments where like, wow, I really don't know anything. So at the end of the day, it's just playing ball and I'm having a great time, but you're learning so much.
I think, Chris, I got one more. I'll just piggyback off what he just said right there, because I think that's funny, and that was a nice, candid moment. How many times does that happen where you say like, I don't know what I'm doing?
I mean, I'm really striving for that every single day, because I'm trying to learn as much as possible, and like that's the thing I'm chasing. Like I'm chasing just what can I do to be the best football player I could possibly be, and every single day has just been giving me those answers, and I've just been working at it. And the amount of like I was working at this JUCO college in California over our break with 3D QB, and they were talking to me about mechanics and the biomechanics of all the like rotational throwing or tennis racket, baseball swing, all that. Same thing. Wow. I've been throwing the ball pretty well, but there's a lot of stuff I still need to work on, and I'm very far from like getting to where I want to be. So it's just been hitting me left and right with a lot of those situations.
Yeah. That's what learning's about, right? So that's how it goes. That's how it goes.
Right.
Chris, closing remarks before we go. JJ, get out of here.
I know you're on the time crunch, man. So look, we went through football. Right. We had the football questions. And now I think it's time that we close out with some of the hard hitting, important stuff that people are really going to care about and be talking about tonight and tomorrow. So first off, JJ McCarthy, I follow you on social media. And one of the things I've noticed is that you seem to be kind of like a deep guy, like very philosophical. You think about things in depth. I'm curious, what's your stance? Let me rephrase this. Let me ask this a different way. What is more likely to be real? Bigfoot or aliens?
Ooh.
So the Bigfoot, I feel like, I mean, you could just get going with like the oceans, how we haven't discovered like 70% of the oceans, but on land we've discovered quite a lot. But space, when I'm looking at, there's 100 to 400 billion stars in our galaxy alone, and then there's trillions of galaxies and billions of galaxies in our universe, and then there's multiple universes. There's just too much out there to not believe that there's other beings living on other planets or aliens, if you would say, like that. That's definitely aliens, I feel like.
Brandon, I think we might be the first group to document that JJ believes in aliens. So let that be known, right? So
and almost the exact same answer we gave when we did the same question before. It's like Bigfoot might be out there, but come on, dude, like alien. Let's get aliens,
right? I feel like everybody is at a point now where they just accept, like, aliens are probably out there.
It's crazy because it took such a sharp turn. Like everyone's saying,
it went from like you were crazy to like, nah, that's probably how it is.
Yeah.
All right, next question. What is your guilty pleasure movie? So this is the movie that you don't want your homies to know that you like this movie, but deep down you really like it. What is it?
He's got one. He's smiling already.
Yeah.
Big.
So it would probably have to be the Da Vinci Code. Like, yeah.
Is that the one with who's
Tom Hanks?
Tom Hanks.
Yeah, Tom Hanks.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I watched that on the plane, and that was a really, really like fascinating movie that I liked. And
it's like you'll geek out a little bit, but like that's a pretty legit movie. I don't think you'd get dogged too much for that one. I was thinking like Hannah Montana or so. I don't even know. I didn't know what he was going to go with. All right, Chris, you got one more, I think, right?
All right, last question. You know, you hail from the Chicago area, so I'm sure a lot of people back in Illinois are curious. Are you Cubs or Sox, North Side or South Side?
White Sox all the way.
There you go. He's a South Sider.
Outsider.
That makes me like you even a little bit more. I like that edge, that South Side edge.
I've been a Sox fan through thick and thin when the Cubs were winning and everyone was bandwagon on them. Yeah. I was always a Sox fan. It's great seeing them do great this year.
Yeah. That's awesome, man.
Have it. JJ McCarthy, our first guest, his first spot in media, handled it like a pro. Like I said, man. I don't know. When did you start doing interviews? 8th grade, maybe something like that, probably.
It was my first one was with Edgy Tim and
Edgy at Rivals, yeah, man.
Yeah, at Rivals, and that had to be 8th grade because I still have braces. Yeah,
there you go. It's come a long way, but still a pro at the interviews. JJ, man, we appreciate the time. Have fun tonight with your teammates, and good luck this fall, my man.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you. You guys have a great night. It was awesome talking to you, Brandon and Christopher.
Yeah, you as well, man. Take care.
Take care, JJ. See you, man. Well, there you go, Chris.
Well,
he's
impressive.
He is impressive. He's always been impressive. A kid I talked to a lot of times throughout the recruiting process, and he's always been just like that. I mean, a mature kid, a heady kid. You're gonna get the politically correct answers out of him, which there's nothing wrong with that. He's the quarterback. He's got his guys at all levels. He's got guys he throws to. He's got guys blocking for him. He's still trying to fight and battle for the top spot. So, I'm not surprised by that approach. He's not going to single too many people out, and that's what you get a lot of times with team first guys. And he certainly is that, man. He's always been that way. So that was fun, man. I enjoyed that.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that a lot.
He gives off the sense that he just gets it. and I think whether or not, he's in a position where he's starting week 1 or week 6, or whether or not it even happens in 2021, I personally have a lot of confidence that at some point in time in the near future, he's going to be the guy. I just think he possesses too many good qualities for somebody at that position to not pull the trigger on him and kind of let him do his thing. So,
and he, I haven't seen a lot of him obviously, but he looks more the part now, like bigger, stronger,
thicker.
He's always kind of had like the whippy arms, but now they're a little bit more filled out, and that's going to continue to happen through his shoulders and his core. And he's just, he's not a huge guy. He's not Trevor Lawrence big. He's not Justin Fields big. He's never going to be that big. But that was always one little concern I had when I saw him in high school. Like, man, he's kind of a spindly kid, but he's filling out, and he's got an absolute whip for an arm. I mean, he throws a live ball. He's really, really accurate. He's a plus athlete. He does have a lot of what you like in a quarterback that just makes him into a winner. And he's been a winner everywhere he's been. He won a state title as a sophomore at Nazareth. I believe he went to a state title every year at Nazareth and only won it once as a sophomore. And then of course at IMG, they went undefeated and they were kind of crowned like the mythical high school football national champs. He just, he's all he does is win. That's all he's ever done is win at every level. And he's a worker. We talked to him before we started too. He just used to go to, camp after camp after camp. I mean, even when he was a pretty big time recruit, he would still show up to camps and perform. And, he wasn't one of the big name guys who comes just to hang out. He's going to throw it. That's what he wants to do. So I've always liked talking to him. I've always enjoyed, the interviews with him. And it's hard not to be,
in his corner.
In his corner and excited about what he could potentially achieve at Michigan. So that was cool. And I'm really excited about these new opportunities with NIL, us being able to branch out a little bit more and bring some more of this stuff to the fans and our listeners and our viewers. And so, hopefully everybody enjoyed that, and we'll have a couple more next week. Are we going to talk about that yet, or are we going to wait till it gets a little closer?
No, I think we can announce it. So I think most people who, follow us on social media, obviously we kick things off with JJ McCarthy, but then, we got Big Ten Media Days coming up here. We're leaving for that tomorrow. We're going to try to stream live from Big Ten Media Days. So, maybe bring you some comments from Jim Harbaugh. I know that Aiden Hutchinson's going to be there. I think it's Aiden Hutchinson, Brad Hawkins, and
it's Hutchinson,
Josh
Hawkins, Ross, and Hassan Haskins.
Haskins. Okay.
Yep.
So we'll try to bring you as much live content from that as we can. And then, next week we're right back at it. We've got Texas Tech transfer quarterback Alan Bowman. We're going to sit and talk with him on Wednesday at 7 p.m. And then on Friday we close out the week with, Blake Corum, who came up in this conversation. And, I think based on the conversations you and I have had, Brandon, we're pretty high on what this kid is capable of doing. We think he's going to be obviously a major contributor here in 2021. So excited to talk with him on Friday in particular and kind of get a sense of, what he's thinking about this upcoming season. Because the dude physically looks like he's just ready to just destroy everybody in his path.
Dude, I'm excited to talk to Alan Bowman. He's like this. He's this enigma coming in, man. And I really want to pick his brain about where, what he's thinking and what we're, what was told to him to. He's a grad transfer. He's going to be able
why
to
Michigan.
Why Michigan? I mean, if you look at Cade, being there, and JJ, the kind of up and comer, I think he's got 3 years of eligibility left, if I'm not mistaken. So obviously some things went into that decision. So I'll be really interested to hear from him as well next week. So that'll be cool. But yeah, first things first, media day that we will take off tomorrow. Go check that out. We'll talk about that for just a quick minute, and that'll pretty much wrap us up tonight. I mean, JJ was the draw. JJ's the draw. We're not going to stick around for a whole lot longer after he dips out of here, because people just don't care about us as much.
They don't care about us. They don't want to hear from us. That's why we're bringing on players. They don't want to hear from us.
But no. Okay. So I thought I did I not? I didn't. Whatever. I didn't put up a banner for that. But Big Ten Media Day is coming up. I'm pretty excited about it. It's been, obviously we didn't go last year. And when I was with Rivals, I didn't go all the time because I was a recruiting guy. Once in a while they'd be like, "Oh, we could use an extra hand, come this year, whatever." But this year it's going to be you, myself, and then we've got Josh Taubman from the Michigan Daily, who's going to be helping out the Wolverine Digest this fall as well with some press conference stuff. And he's going to come along with us for the 2-day trip to Indy. So I'm excited about that. And yeah, we'll get Aiden Hutchinson, we will get Josh Ross, and we will get Hassan Haskins, and of course Jim Harbaugh. 3 players from every team, every coach, and we'll see what happens. It's always a little bit of a mystery. You don't know who's going to say what, or Harbaugh shows up in a suit and a hat. Maybe he'll have his cleats on. This time. Yeah, I don't know.
That's what I'm hoping for.
So we'll see what that turns out like. But it's cool because you get it's not ever one-on-one. I mean, there's a lot of people there covering Michigan. But you get a little bit more of like a chill setting when the guys are sitting at their tables and they do their breakout. And then we're going to stick around on Friday for a little bit and pick the brain of some Ohio State guys a little bit and kind of see what they're saying and what they're thinking. And, we'll see who else is around. Is there an opportunity to talk to somebody from Michigan State about Michigan, or maybe Penn State or Wisconsin, who's had a couple good games in a row against the Wolverines. So there's a lot of cool angles that you can get all in one spot for Media Day. I'm excited too, because it's in Indy for the first time. I've never been there. It's going to be at Lucas Oil. I'm anxious to see how that's set up and what we get to do. And yeah, I'm excited, man. Like, football is coming, dude. Like,
it's here, right? I texted you that the other night. I was like, man, we booked JJ. We got these, a couple other players coming on. We're going to Big Ten Media Days. Like, it's football season as far as I'm concerned. And we're 40 some days away from kickoff. So
something like that. I know, like, I always say this, like, NFL preseason's not that awesome, but it's still football. The first NFL preseason game is August 5th. So once that day hits,
yeah,
that's 15 days from now. Once that day hits, there's football every single weekend until February, and that's a beautiful thing. Yeah, that is a beautiful, beautiful thing. So, I'm just super excited, man. It was really cool to talk to JJ again. I hadn't connected with him in a couple years, I guess, or at least a year for sure, since he was a recruit, and he'd been committed for so long that there wasn't a lot of times to talk to him, but that was great. I was having fun asking the questions. It was fun seeing him react to some of the different ones, and yeah, you can't beat that firsthand information, even from a rookie freshman trying to figure it out in his own words. I thought that was pretty funny, man, that he said, I don't even know what's going on every day.
But that in and of itself speaks to his maturity. The fact that he doesn't just say it and say it out loud, but it's like a source of pride. Like, hey man, I'm going out every day and stretching myself to the point where like I'm doing things I'm uncomfortable with. And I think, the more it's hard to imagine that the Michigan fan base could be more supportive of JJ McCarthy than they already are, but you can see it when you talk to him, and then he releases a statement like he did last night. Like I said before, he just seems like he's got it figured out, and I'm excited for this season, but I'm also excited to see what becomes of his career, at Michigan.
And he had the 7:30 hard cap to get out of here because, oh, by the way, he's taking some of his teammates out to dinner.
Team dinner, yeah.
I don't know if he was like the host or the provider, but that's why he was leaving. So again, look at that day, dude. He probably got up at 5 a.m, was doing all that stuff at 6 o'clock, and then a workout with Dalen Baldwin he mentioned, and then this and photo shoot stuff, and he's in the uniform and he's at the stadium, and now he's going out with his teammates. Like, I don't know if it's like that for everybody all the time, but you get the sense that it is for him. It's like that every day, all the time. It's football, it's teammates, it's locker room, it's film, it's being a QB. Like, he just has that it factor. I've always said that about him.
Yeah.
I've always said that about him. I've been a little bit apprehensive to anoint him because I thought he was a little small coming out of high school. I mean, I know you don't have to be a hulking big dude to play quarterback anymore, but he's also not like a 4'4" run around kind of guy. So the fact that he was a little smaller, he's got a very live arm, but it wasn't the strongest that I've ever seen in person. Like, one of the big last events I went to was the 5-Star Challenge in Atlanta, and he was there with Kyle McCord, who was at Ohio State. I think was him, and they were pretty good friends, and JJ and Kyle kind of jockeyed back and forth as one of the higher rated pro style quarterbacks in the class. And McCord just had a different look to him. He was bigger, he was solid, he was thick, he had a stronger arm. But like I said, he's coming along in that regard. He doesn't look like he did when I last saw him, coming out of high school, and that's obvious. That's going to happen when you get there. But I'm excited for his future because he just talent's one thing. Everybody at Michigan is talented, but if you've got that other stuff that he clearly has, in my opinion, that's when you can get greatness, man. And I hope that's what's in his future for him.
Let me put it this way. Like, when you talk about culture and what the environment is like in the locker room, that is a kid that you're so glad to have in the locker room, because if times get tough, or if things happen internally, that's just a guy that is nothing but positive for the locker room environment. So I think, talent wise, his mentality, all those things are going to pay dividends, and it's just a matter of time, how long before Jim pulls the trigger.
I like throwing up a little bit of love for us. We're wrong, dude. People do care. People do care about us.
That's
man.
my mom, so she's supposed to say that.
Is it really?
That is, yeah. Does that count if your mom says she cares?
I did not know that. That makes that even funnier, and I'm so glad I picked that out to put that up there now. I did not. You're dead serious?
I'm dead serious.
Well, hey, thanks, Mom.
She cares
about us. That's fantastic. That's the best thing. I did not know that.
It's a family affair here.
That's good stuff. Let's see a couple more things, and then we'll get ready to close it out here. Yeah, this is an interesting point. JJ's best wide receiver from back home in Illinois will be with him next year. Tyler Morris is committed, coming off an injury, tore his knee up at the end of last year. So you hope he's, he can return to form and get the quickness and the burst that made him a big time recruit. But good player, really good player, and obviously JJ knows him. JJ also familiar with AJ Henning. Trevor Keegan, another Illinois guy, not from quite the same area, but Michigan's done quite well in the state of Illinois over the last couple of recruiting classes. So, that's certainly not a bad thing. Same high school, but coming off that knee injury, so hopefully he'll be good to go whenever he does get back out on the field. Let's see. Anything else that we need to throw out there?
Not that I can.
I saw this one also from David. Was Roman Wilson? See, this is the deal, and I mentioned it when we were talking about when JJ signed off of here. You're just not going to get from any player. You're just not going to get a lot of singling out. You're not really going to get it. I mean, they know if Roman Wilson is the fastest receiver, but they're not gonna do collateral damage by calling him the fastest, which then means that other guys are slower. I mean, like that's a fact of football. Every team has a fastest guy. You're going to be hard pressed to get a player to say something like that.
Right.
And it's not a knock on the people who are asking questions in here, because I see it at media availabilities all the time.
That's a fair question. Yeah.
If you go to Jim Harbaugh and you say who's standing out on offense, he's going to name every damn player that plays offense. Like that's not how you get information. You've got to go in with a little bit more specific. Like if you want to know, if you have a specific thought about a guy, ask about that guy. It's, Harbaugh could very easily still then trail off and name every other guy at that position, which he's quite good at. But if you ask a big open-ended question, you often will get a big open-ended answer. Like that's just kind of how it works. And also, like I said, for JJ, who's a young guy, he's part of the team. Those are his brothers. Those are his friends. He's not going to single anybody out, because there were some other questions that I would say are good, but you're not really going to get that. Even like who's the surprise on offense, right? He's like everybody. Well, okay, that's fine, but that's not what that's not the answer that people are often looking for. Who's somebody else? Mason Bully on there. Who's the toughest dog on the team you'd want to go to battle with? He's not going to pick anybody. Right. He just won't do it. I mean, he might give you a few, but it just often doesn't go that way. After
he's seasoned, he's experienced. He knows.
Dude, he is. He's been doing interviews for a long time. It was that way when you'd ask him about his favorite schools. He'd be very diplomatic and very political about, well, I like this school and this school and this school and this school. You kind of learn to read between the lines a little bit. Who's he getting the most attention from? Where's he visiting? Who's he connecting with? And that's all part of figuring all this stuff out. But yeah, it's going to be fun. And you do learn too. Like, I'm trying to think of an example. I can't even think of a good one off the top of my head. There are guys who they'll just say it. They'll say exactly. Aiden Hutchinson's pretty good for a quote. He's pretty candid and pretty open. Like if you ask him to single something out, he will sometimes. You're not going to get that from a young quarterback just trying to find his way right now, doing his first media spot. Like that's not what you're going to get. And that's okay. I don't like it when coaches do it. I think they need to man up a little bit in that instance. But coach speak or player speak for a player, in particular a young freshman, that's to be expected. You can't hate on that. And he did a really good job, I think, answering a lot of the other questions. I love I don't know about you, man, but I love hearing about the day-to-day stuff. I just think that's, even as a person in the media who's been doing it for a long time, there's no way you ever know about that stuff unless you hear it from a guy like that.
I think for people that are huge fans of college football and Michigan football in general, like, you're just curious, like, what's it like being a guy like JJ McCarthy? Like, it's not, and he knows he's not the average recruit. You know what I mean? Like, I think he gets how the outside world kind of views him, or the Michigan football world views him. I think he gets it. And yeah, there's a lot of curiosity. Like, what's it like to be a dude like that on this team? Like, what do you feel? What's it like? Who's talking to you? What are they saying? So,
yeah. Where do you think JJ McCarthy will rank? Let's just cap it at one season. At the end of this season, where do you think he will rank in jersey sales?
Honestly, man, I feel like he's got to be top 3.
I do too.
I mean,
he's maybe the third string quarterback, but he's going to sell more jerseys than just about everybody on the team.
Aiden Hutchinson, I would put at 1, right? And then you've got JJ McCarthy, Daxton Hill.
Yeah.
I put those 3 guys up there. And then, like we talked about before, it's a pretty significant drop off, I think, between like the top 3 or 4 players on this team to everybody else when it comes to jersey sales. So
also David, appreciate you, David, being active in the comment section there. By the way, that's always appreciated. He said he's going to buy himself a JJ McCarthy jersey, which is awesome, man. Like, we talked about this a little bit over the week when I was down in South Carolina, not doing pods, as we were kind of figuring out what we were going to talk about when we came back and what kind of things we were going to focus on. And then this jersey deal comes out, which is like, $10 or $12 per jersey the players get. That's amazing. But like, I really think people need to understand that it's not going to be that big of a deal for most of the players. Like 90% of them, like, seriously, are not really going to get much from that deal. It's an amazing deal on paper. It's awesome that Michigan was first. It's great that they partnered up with the MDen, and it's so cool that you can go on the MDen website and do the drop-down menu, and there's the players. Like, that's amazing. Like, that's never been a thing before. Ronnie Bell might do okay. That's a good point. Mike Londell throws out Ronnie Bell's name.
But how many people outside of family and friends are, rushing out to buy Ronnie Bell? That's no knock against Ronnie Bell.
No,
I just think
the way it is.
Like, it's the same with like NFL teams, right? Like, you've got a roster full of professional players, but there's really only like 1 or 2 marquee guys that are moving jerseys, and then the rest of the sales, it's like sporadic. It's not like you're going to make a living on it. It's great. I think you and I agree. It's great that, Michigan has this partnership with the MDen and the jersey sales, but at the end of the day, you're right. I think a handful of guys are going to see, I think I read it pays out once each quarter, right? So they'll get 4 payments. I think there's a handful of guys that are going to really benefit. And then I think most of the guys, like, you might get some extra change here and there, but I don't think it's going to be anything substantial.
Like, let's take JJ, for instance. Let's say he takes over the starting job as a sophomore next year, a true sophomore, and he's really good. I mean, like, leading Michigan to big wins. He could make $50,000 off this jersey deal in a season.
Easily.
They could sell 5,000 jerseys of JJ McCarthy.
Right. I mean, the most recent players, and I think we talked about this, the Jabril Peppers or Denard Robinson.
He'd have made $1 million.
Correct. He would have killed it here. So make no mistake, for some of these guys, that is a sweet deal that I think they're going to get a nice chunk of change on. But you're right. For the vast majority of the players on that roster, it's not really going to move the needle all that much, but it will put some money in their pocket to get lunch and grab a dinner here and there and have some extra spending money. So it's good, but it's not a game changer. I wouldn't go that far yet.
You gotta think about it. Like, who's the best offensive lineman in the NFL? Like, in the entire league? I mean,
Lewan's probably the most popular, right?
He's up there. He's certainly up there. Yeah, like Tyron Smith for the Cowboys. America. He's kind of on a decline now in his career, but for a while there, he was like your prototypical left tackle. Joe Thomas for the Browns for a bunch of years was regarded as one of the best linemen in the league. Point being, like, those guys don't sell jerseys. Like, even the best elite offensive linemen in the NFL don't sell jerseys.
Yeah.
Like, offensive linemen, especially like backup guys for college teams, they're going to literally sell zero jerseys. And so, like,
You'll
what it is.
Get friends and family, right? And you'll get the one-offs here, but you can't count on that. It's not going to.
So your dad, your mom, and your sister spent $360 on the jerseys for you to make 30. All right. You got to look at it how it's really going on. But okay, Quentin Nelson, there's another good one for the Colts. Like, he probably sells some jerseys, but I mean the point is, this is going to be potentially really, really big for like one or two guys per team. A couple after those one or two will make a little chunk, and then for the large majority, they're just not really going to see much from it. Yeah. And that's fine. That's how the world works. You make more money if you're more desirable, you're more marketable, you have a skill or a talent that people want. Like, that's capitalism. That's how it works. That's what NIL is supposed to capitalize on. All these guys have the same opportunity to go do whatever they do. But yeah, like a Trevor Lawrence, a Justin Fields, a Jadeveon Clowney, a Peppers, a Denard, like, those guys are going to crush it. And a lot of the guys just aren't, and that's okay. Yeah. There's different ways to go about it. I think creating a brand and a logo and trying to sell clothing, that's not it. That's not going to be the move. There's overhead involved with that. There's even for some of the top guys, like, I don't know. I wouldn't, like, would people buy a shirt with Trevor Lawrence's face on it, even though he was like the most popular college football player for 2 seasons?
Not enough. I can't
enough to make any real money.
Right. Yeah. Not enough to where it's like it's worth the investment of time and money to do it. But I think overall, and we've talked about this quite a bit offline, I think overall it's nice to see that Michigan is do things to try to put the players in a better position. You hope that there's more things on the horizon. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, like, even the interaction that we had tonight, the fact that JJ was on, like, he didn't even know that this wasn't possible prior to, the new NIL guidelines. And so even little things like the experience we had tonight, it's just going to open the door so much more for these student athletes. And personally, I'm really excited about, a clothing brand is not going to take off, but there are going to be some really cool opportunities that come for these players that would not have come had it not been for the NIL stuff. So I'm excited.
Want to throw this up real quick because it's just funny and it made me laugh. Buckeye here. He comes in peace. likes Brandon's work, follows me on Twitter. So there's why Michigan fans hate me, right? I mean, I've got Buckeye fans all over the place.
Okay, there you go.
Hey, I did take a big shot at Ohio while I was on the radio with Jamie Morris today. So,
you have to.
What did I say? He was like, "How's everything going, Brandon? I know you're driving." And I was like, "I'm currently driving through the armpit of the United States, and that everybody's least favorite state of Ohio at the time, or whatever it was." But no, just making fans everywhere I go. I'll throw this up too as we're talking about NIL, because I think we talked about this quite a bit before. Yeah. What do I think of that deal? I think that's where it's at. That's where NIL, that's where Michigan and NIL can really separate themselves from what a lot of other schools and programs can do. For those who don't know, the Miami deal was one guy. I don't even think he's an alum. I think he's just a fan. He owns 44 MMA gyms in Florida and around the country, and he might even have a couple internationally. He gave $540,000 to the Miami football team, so that I think it's only supposed to be 85 scholarship guys, but the number said 90, whatever. 90 guys on the team are going to get $6,000 a piece to just wear a shirt that says the name of the gym, and they just have to promote it on their social media or, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, saying like, yo, this is the best gym in Miami. If I ever can't get into my school facilities, this is where I'm at. Come check it out. Whatever. I don't know, whatever the agreement is in place. I don't know if they have to do that once a week, once a month, twice a year, whatever it is. Does it really matter? I mean, these, people are on social media all the time. If you just have to go on there wearing a shirt and be like, this is the best gym I've ever been to, and you get $6,000, like, you're doing it. So that's how that deal worked. And that's why I think, that Michigan can absolutely kill it, because they have so many people who have so much money. I don't know if it's, Stephen Ross made all his money in like real estate in New York City. Like, he doesn't really need to advertise with Michigan football players in Ann Arbor, but that wouldn't keep him. That doesn't mean he can't partner up with his favorite restaurant. Maybe it's Zingerman's. Every Michigan player gets a Zingerman's hat. You go on social media, go eat at Zingerman's. It's my favorite spot. Boom, 10 grand. Like
Right.
Miami put the formula out there for other programs to really kill this NIL stuff. And it's just a matter of time before everybody probably has some deal like that in place. But yeah, as far as I know, they're the first and only to do something like that so far. But, we'll see. We will see how that ends up going. Need a background. Look like I'm in my bedroom. I mean, I got.
What's wrong with the background? Is he talking? Whose background?
I don't know.
Like a broadcast from your bedroom.
I mean, I got a shelf and an SI backdrop, and like I don't know how much better I can do. Christmas is pretty solid.
I got the 11s back here. Like I got the helmets. Like I don't know.
Somebody said need a logo on the bottom right. I think it's top right. Boom. How about that? You like apples?
There we go.
How about them apples? Yeah,
I don't know. I'm kind of offended about the background comment. I think our backgrounds are on point.
It's fine. It's about as good as it's gonna get, man. I mean, I am in my like office / basement. It's not like
we have literally been on Zoom calls where it's like player availability when dudes are like napping on the couch, like asking players questions. So for the general public, they might not know, but like this is sophisticated. Like this is
pretty good.
It's pretty good.
And I've got studio lighting. I've heard our microphones are solid. I know they sound good on playback on podcasts. I think listen, Mason. If you wanna hook me up with a studio over here, then
just take it easy, Mason.
Be my guest. But this is top quality stuff right here. All right. So excited about Big Ten Media Days. We will take off midday tomorrow, get to Indianapolis in the evening, and then it's all day long Thursday. And then Friday we'll stick around for a little while, at least through the Ohio State players, and we will be bringing you as much content as we can from that. So keep it locked, and I think we'll probably go live again Thursday.
Yeah.
Probably right. I mean, I know we have our Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule, but JJ was available tonight, so we're doing Tuesday, and then Big Ten Media Day is Thursday, so we'll do Thursday. Maybe we'll do Friday again before we leave. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but a lot of good stuff coming down the pike. A couple more players joining us next week. Just about every player we've reached out to has been interested. We've gotten very few no thank yous, but there have been a couple, and that's okay. There's 85 scholarship dudes on that team. That's another really cool thing about this. I mean, there's your Aiden Hutchinsons of the world, the starting quarterback. Some of the other star players are going to be the most coveted, but I mean, dude, people want to hear what JJ McCarthy has to say. People want to hear what the running back room. I mean, like this NIL stuff has now opened it up to where we could get all 4 or 5 scholarship running backs on at one time to have a round table. I mean, like, I don't know how that would go, but I mean, all of that stuff is now possible. So it's really exciting, and I'm just looking forward to the opportunities we might be able to have this fall. That's all I got, man. I don't know. I think we did. I think that was solid, man. I was pumped to have JJ on. You did a good job of fostering that and getting the questions ready to roll out while I was driving for 7 days straight, it felt like.
Yeah, man. I think, like I said, we got some exciting stuff coming over the next couple weeks. Excited to share it with everybody. So, just stick with us, and we're going to keep working to get as many of these guys on as we can. Fall camp starts August 6th. Right?
So that's close too.
Right. So so fall camp is, it's what we're a little under 2 weeks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Till August 6th. So we're getting close, but
16 days.
16 days. Okay. So we're trying to squeeze as many of these interviews as we can in before they get to fall camp, but we should be able to provide some really cool content over the next couple weeks. So
just for anyone else, I mean, whoever's, I don't know, just to answer this question for AJ. Yes, you can see it on the Facebook page. You can see it on my Twitter feed, and you can see it on the YouTube page, Wolverine Digest YouTube page. So multiple places to catch that, and we will probably have chunks of JJ stuff on the website too, wolverinedigest.com, that stuff that maybe he said that pertains to an article we write or whatever. But he was on with us for 30 minutes, so some really good stuff from him, and man, that was good. I'm excited, dude. Like this is the kind of stuff that as a media person you just really the wheels start cranking about all the different stuff that we could do throughout the season. So really looking forward to that. So everybody out there, thank you for listening. We will be back probably Thursday after the first round of Big Ten Media Days, after we hear from Jim Harbaugh from Indy on location, after we hear from Jim Harbaugh, Aiden Hutchinson, Hassan Haskins, and Josh Ross. Thank you guys. We will see you in a couple days.